Well, that wasn't too bad. Let's look at another one. This one we had x plus y is 9, 2x minus y is 12. Let's look at this one. 5x plus 7y equals 4, and 18x plus 28y is 6. Looking for which x value and y value together solve both of these equations, I look closely and think, do I want to do substitution? To do substitution, I would need to solve for x or solve for y on either one of these, and then replace that with the x value or the y value in the other equation. For example, I'd have to solve for x on this equation and then plug it in to the x on this equation. That's pretty detailed and difficult to do. And maybe in a later video I'll show you that. But I do notice one thing. I notice that 28 is a multiple of 7, which means I could multiply this equation by 4 to get 28. However, I want to multiply it by a negative 4 so that I have a negative 28 here, which is the opposite of a positive 28 here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply this equation entirely by a negative 4. So let's look at that. Negative 4 times 5x is a negative 20x. Negative 4 times 7y is a negative 28y. Ding, 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 ding. See the opposites there? That's going to be really good for me. And that equals, what's a negative 4 times 4? A negative 16. Once again, don't get confused. We're always going to add the equations. Add the equations. Okay? 18 plus a negative 20 is a negative 2x. That positive 28y and negative 28y simply makes these go away. Yay, that's a 0. And that equals 6 plus a negative 16, which is a negative 10. Boy, that makes things really simple, doesn't it? Just that one cool little move where we notice that this is a multiple of this. Okay? That's really valuable. Now, if 2x's is a 10, then what's 1x? Well, it's a 5. I have negative 2x is a negative 10. So if I divide by a negative 2, one of the problems you guys are having is you were getting these numbers right, but you weren't getting your negatives and positives right. One, because you're having a hard time understanding still how to add or subtract negative numbers. And two, because you're forgetting that you add the terms together every time. Okay. Later on in life you can subtract those, but right now just focus on doing it one way. That cancels out and I get x equals a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. I see a lot of you kids trying to do two things at once. You see this and you see the negatives and you're trying to reconcile the negatives and do 10 divided by 2 at the same time in your brain, and it doesn't work. So you have to either just cover up these signs and then do this and then do the signs, or cover up the numbers, resolve the signs, and then do the division problem. Okay? But don't try to do both at once. It just makes your brain just scream all over the place. So we know that x is equal to positive 5. Once we solve for x, let's not forget we still need to solve for y. So I'm going to put an x in right here. So I will write 5 times x, which happens to be 5, plus 7 times y is 4. And then I'll solve. 5 times 5 is 25. Plus 7y equals 4. If I subtract 25 from both sides, I get 7y equals a negative 21. 4 minus a negative 25 is a negative 21. Divide both sides by 7, and I recognize that 21 divided by 7 is 3. And I recognize that a negative divided by a positive is a negative. Notice I did that one thing at a time. I now have my x value as a positive 5 and my y value as a negative 3.